Hi, everyone. My name is Shyla Floodman with Team BC eXp Realty. I'm here with Tony Sanchez with Big Valley Mortgage. Welcome, Tony. Now, when would someone need a lender?
Well, typically, thank you again, Shyla, for inviting me to do this. I typically, when someone needs to talk to a lender, it's kind of like I always tell people when I'm kind of like interviewing them or first time that first conversation is if you're thinking about buying a home or just whatever it may come up with buying a home, you don't, when you go into a grocery store, you know what you have in your bank account or what you have in your pocket. So you know what you're gonna, what you have. So you don't just fill up your grocery cart, with a bunch of food, you all these snacks, pizzas, ice cream, meat, all these things. And then you get to the check stand and you're like, oh, wait, I don't know if I can afford this. So that's the same thing as when you're, when you're looking at what you can afford as far as your monthly payment, you always want to, talk to a lender like myself, talk to a lender and kind of go through what your budget is and what you actually what you qualify for.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I could tell people to use you as their lender till I'm blue in the face, but why should someone reach out to you and use you as their lender?
Well, what, as you may know, well, not may, you do know, is I take the stance different from any other loan officer. Like if you were to go into a big bank, the big bank lender or loan officer, he's gonna go right off, or she is gonna go right off the bat and just say, bring me this, that, and the other, pay stubs, W-2s, and all this other stuff, and let's pull credit. Well, again, I take a different approach. I look at it as more of educating, and before we start running credit or asking for documents, and not so much, the phrase wasting time, but let's build a plan first, because you may not even be ready. So why should I have you go and gather all these documents and, talk about numbers if, you don't need to? So again, my biggest thing is I educate and I find out what's important to you, what your goals are, and kind of go from there.
Perfect. Exactly. And that's why I love having you as my lender. I love pointing all my clients to you because you really help them create that plan to get them to the place where they are ready to purchase their first home or move on to their next one. And, we've been hearing a lot about the market. What is your take on the market update right now on the lending side of things?
Well, a lot of people have that misconception as far as it's scary or, because rates have gone up. I mean, we could talk about what rates are doing. Yes, we all know that rates are higher, and you got to make sure that, the way that I phrase it is different from, again, other people. Some people may say, well, rates are too high, right? But no, rates are just higher than what we've seen in the past 2 to 3 years. So the way that I look at it is, it's kind of like this, is if you're in the position to buy a home today, qualify, everything, check, all the boxes checked. If you're able to buy today, then buy today. Someone had said, I can't take credit for this phrase or this thing, but someone said, don't marry the rate, just date the rate, right? Because you're just going to be with this rate for a little bit. Because I think one of the other questions that we're going to probably ask is where are rates going to be at, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. We didn't expect rates to go up this fast, this high, this fast. But I feel with, keeping my ear to, financial markets and things like that, experts that, really pay attention to this, is I think we're going to see these rates, from, we're reaching 6%, high fives, mid fives, to 6% right now, depending on, a lot of factors. But I think what we're going to see is we're probably going to see in the next 6 to 12 months, I think we're going to see them drop down to maybe 4.5%, 5%. But I think that's going to, where we're the sweet spot where we're going to stay. I look at it like this, with rates being higher than what we've seen, people are saying like, well, I'm just going to wait for rates to drop. Well, are you going to wait to put gas in your car? Because we know what California today, what our gas prices look like, right? So we always, we're saying like, well, there's gas prices are too high. Well, we can, complain all we want, but we're still going to put gas in our vehicles, right? So like that, what goes back to as far as, what we can, if you can qualify today, then buy today. because it's not like, I mean, if you're going to continue renting, then we know what that is about. When you rent, your interest rate is 100% interest rate. So
Definitely. And we talk about rates and they're high and they're low. What does that even mean to someone who doesn't even understand what rates are and what it qualifies for? And
well, interest rates are basically what you pay back to the bank. Kind of like when you have an auto loan, you pay an interest back to the to finance, to use the bank's money to finance. Some people that I haven't met anybody, even if you're a first-time home buyer or younger generation, everybody knows that that rates are higher than what we've seen, because everybody hears it. You hear it on the news, you hear it on social media, you hear it from your mom, your dad, your uncle, everybody. So everybody knows that rates are higher. So to somebody that is a brand new, first-time home buyer that is like, well, rates are too high. Well, rates are too high compared to what? You don't know what a 2.5% looks like or 2.99 looks like. So again, it's just, you have to kind of, I wouldn't like to say evolve, but you got to deal with what we have today. Can somebody wait today to buy? Sure, you can wait, but there's a cost to waiting. If you're going to continue renting, whatever your rent is, times that by 12 and just look at what you wasted in rent and compared to what you could have actually been when you bought today. So
yeah,
that's kind of my take.
What's a good indication for someone who is ready to purchase their first home? What are we looking for in someone who's ready?
Well, it's a great question. I feel that when somebody's ready is when they outgrow their current home, or when the rent continues to go up so much for them, and it's just like, man, I could be the amount of rent that I'm paying, I could buy a home. I wouldn't say that, well, to some places in California, especially with California, rents are crazy. I kind of was talking to a customer the other day where it was a 2-bedroom 2-bath apartment under 1,000 square foot home, 1,000 square foot, and so it's just an apartment, but their rent was $3,400.
Wow.
So that's high. That's really high. And so again, can you get a mortgage for that in the area? It'll be a little bit more than that, but you got to look at it as like, so I think when it's the right time is, again, we got to run the numbers. Let's run the numbers. Let's talk about what you can afford and what you feel comfortable paying. That's my biggest thing, is when I ask, when I'm asking people in the very beginning stages, I ask them like, hey, I can qualify you for X amount, but what are you comfortable paying? Because at the end of the day, you're the one that's making the payment, not me. So I always ask people like, what, if I can qualify you for $1 million property and your payment is, let's just say $5,500 a month, but then you're like, well, Tony, I don't want that payment. Well, it's either you put more money down or you buy less house, right? So that's why I always ask, what are you comfortable paying as far as your monthly budget? What does that look like to you? And I'm sorry, I got blurry.
No, you're
But
fine.
that's kind of, I think that's kind of what it is. It's just when we know when you're ready is when you come to me and you ask me, Tony, let's run some numbers.
Exactly. Everyone's situation is going to be different, and it's always specific to their situation. So the best thing would be to talk to you, see what they're comfortable paying, and then we can tell them, you are ready, or at the same time, we can tell you you're not ready. But if you're not ready, we're going to help you create a plan to get you to that point of where you are. So that's why
that's the biggest thing.
You're the greatest one for the job.
The biggest thing is basically building a plan, because builders that build buildings and skyscrapers and homes, there's always a blueprint. There's always a blueprint before you even get started. They have to plan, and that's the biggest thing, is starting with the lender, talking to myself, is building a plan. Because again, you may think you can afford today, but you may not be able to, because there may be what I like to call skeletons in the closet. You may have some credit issues that we need to work on to get your credit to be able to qualify. So again, just building a blueprint, having a plan. And sometimes it's not ready today. Sometimes it's ready in 6 months. Sometimes it's ready in 12 months. Just again, like you said, almost everybody's situation is different. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and it's very, very, very no, it's not, it's not often where you find someone has to say, oh, like, oh, 2 years ago, the client had the same exact credit, same exact debt, same exact income. Like, you don't see that. There's always something different. So don't let your neighbor tell you what you should be getting qualified, because they're probably not a lender or a real estate agent.
Exactly, exactly. And some things that I've been hearing lately are like, well, I'm saving for a down payment. I don't have the down payment. And we're not only saving for the down payment, but the closing costs as well. What's the best way to save for that down payment that you've spoken about with your clients?
So I get pretty creative when it comes to, helping and assisting people. I don't really give them the money, of course, right? But as far as saving for a down payment and different ideas, I look at it like this: like, everybody knows that what they have in their savings account, or what they have in their checking account, or what they have at home, stuck away in their dresser. But I find different ways. Again, I mean, we can look at a retirement account, to see what you have as in a 401k. You can liquidate some of that. Some retirement accounts are able to, if you're telling them you're purchasing a home, then they give you, it's a loan. You're not taking a hard, I think it's called a hardship, withdrawal. You're taking a loan out. So it's still your money. It's still in the retirement. You're just taking a loan out it. So, I mean, there's a lot of different creative ways that we can get, or I've even to the very bottom of it is, look around your house, see what you can sell. I mean, if there's stuff, like, I like to use this as an example. I had, during COVID, I was working from home, and I was like, I have a lot of stuff that I don't need anymore. So I was thinking about having a yard sale, but then I started looking at all the different things. I was a big thing on Jordans, like the shoes. I had a bunch of jerseys, basketball, hockey, baseball, football, that I don't even wear anymore. So I was like, I mean, I don't want to say the number, but I made a pretty penny just reselling stuff. So, there's a lot of different ways. And I tell people, I give them the ideas. I'm like, hey, what are you into? What do you have? Look around your house and see what kind of money you can make, So
Yeah.
I've actually had a customer that had baseball cards and football cards, old stuff, and they were just collecting dust. And they ended up making, like, I mean, I think there was a lot more to it, but they ended up making like 10 grand off of things that they were selling that was just around the house. And that helped them. I mean, 10 grand doesn't sound like it's a lot, but it is. It helped them to where they needed to be at. So
Perfect. Yeah.
there's, again, I think of some different creative ways, or just get another job.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Always finding different ways to save for that down payment. And I know that you're a great person to speak to about, and you can always kind of open up the conversation with people and find different ways for their specific situation, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Now, if someone is looking to purchase their first home, they're looking for a lender, how does someone get a hold of you for more information?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can get a hold of me. I mean, I'm pretty much, I'm pretty, if anybody says I can't get a hold of you, then that's they're lying. You can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, email, text. My phone number is 916-335-1117. You have my contact information. My email is tony.sanchez@apmortgage.com. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways, you can, Shyla knows my contact information. I think I'm on speed dial now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'll make sure that all your contact information is in the video description below. And thank you so much, Tony, for taking the time today and speaking with me and speaking with us about how we can go about getting these people their first home and getting them into the home, especially with today's market. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.